This is chapter 3 lecture looking at creating business from opportunity. And before you start your business, you need to define the offer, the target market, and the product and delivery capability, which is the what, the who, and the how. The offer is what you will sell to your customer. It is all the products and services you will provide. So an example would be an online personal training for an initial 4-week period or 3-month period would be an offer. The target market is the segment of the market you're going to serve. By defining it, you identify who your potential customer is and market toward them. It must not be too broad a market, like every adult in the U.S. would not work. And also, going back to our example of a personal trainer, their market could be men and women between 30 and 55 years of age who want to get in shape and be healthy. Then looking last is production and delivery capability. And this is how you're going to provide your offer to your target market. And such as who will produce the product, how is it going to be delivered to your customer, are they going to have to come in and get it, is it something they buy online, it's shipped, and receiving payment. How are you going to take payment from someone? Is it going to be online, in person? How does that work? You also need to define your business type and determine whether you're a manufacturing company. That's where you're making a tangible product, such as an example would be if you were making an energy drink that then you sell to the retailer, which would be like GNC, or sell to a wholesaler that then sells to a retailer. The wholesaler buys in bulk from the manufacturers and sells smaller quantities to the retailer. So an example of a wholesaler would be a national brand of clothing or food that's selling to a restaurant. So like Cisco would be an example of like a wholesaler. Next is retail, and retail sells a product to the consumer. So that would be like a clothing store, a restaurant. And service sells an intangible product to the consumer. So an example of that would be like a wedding planner is selling a service. Now we're going to look at defining your organization. And part of planning a business is articulating your core values, your mission, and your vision. And the beliefs you use to guide your business are your core values, which are the ethical and moral philosophy and beliefs that form the foundation of the company and guide all decision making. Example of a core belief would be a farm-to-table restaurant would have the core belief in supporting local farmers for their food products, or you could say that you only support local organic farmers. Your core beliefs will affect the materials used in the product, the prices charged, and how customers are treated. So for example, if you use only organic products, you're going to have to charge higher prices to be able to afford the organic products. And if you're a farm-to-table restaurant, you're going to have a higher level of customer service. Next is the company's mission statement. And this is the concise communication of your purpose, business definition, and values that tell your customers and employees what your business is about. And it guides your decision making. It also helps clarify what the business is trying to do presently and provides direction for the future. A mission statement should address the target customers, the products and services, the market served, the use of technology, the importance of public issues and employees, and focus on growth and profitability. Next is your vision, and the vision is broader or more comprehensive than the mission, and it's the overall view of what your company wants to become in the future, and it will build on the core values of the company. So an example of a vision would be Krispy Kreme's vision is to be the worldwide leader ensuring delicious taste and creating joyful memories. Next is culture. And culture is the core values and actions. It includes risk tolerance and innovations. It includes orientation with respect to people, teams, and outcomes, attention to detail, and communication norms. It's learned through ceremonies, anecdotes, events, symbols, and particular uses or languages. So an example of this would be a company twice a year having a family event to show how important family is to the company. Another example would be everyone going by their first name and not being addressed formally when speaking to each other. Now we're going to look at your competitive advantage. And your competitive advantage is whatever you can do better than the competitor that will attract customers to your business. And you want to find your competitive advantage by thinking about what consumers in your market need. And you need to have a unique knowledge of your market. Also, your competitive advantage has to be something that is sustainable over time. And you can either, your competitive advantage can either be direct or indirect. So direct is when you're selling the exact same or similar product to the market. And indirect would be selling a different product, but it competes with a share of another market or consumer spending. So a competitive advantage comes in one or more of these 6 forms. First is quality. And you can, quality would be as a competitive advantage, can you provide higher quality product or service than the competition? Looking at price, can you provide a lower price than the competition, or do you have a higher price because you are unique or have better service that's worth the extra price? Location, can you find a more convenient location for your customer? Selection, can you provide a wider range of choices than your competitors, or do you have something that no one else has? Service, can you provide better, more personalized customer service? And speed and turnaround, can you deliver your product or service more quickly than the competition? And for that, speed and turnaround, I think of Amazon Prime. What would we do without them? So when determining if your business concept is viable, it's important to determine if your competitive advantage is strong enough by doing one of the following. So you need to either sell to a market that is large and growing. Example of that would be the smartphone market is still large and growing. Sell to a market where the competition is able to make a profit. You want to sell to a market where the competition is succeeding but is not so powerful as to make it impossible for a new entrepreneur to enter the market. Example of that would be like the clean makeup product movement of moving to cleaner makeup products. Next would be sell a product or service that solves problems consumers may have with the competition. So an example of this is FedEx was the first company to provide overnight delivery. So people are wanting overnight delivery, and FedEx was the first to provide that. So they solved a problem for consumers. And then last is sell a product or service at a competitive price that will attract customers. Example of this is after FedEx started offering overnight delivery, the U.S. Postal Service decided to offer overnight delivery cheaper than FedEx did. The economies of one unit is the basis of business profit, and if one unit of sale is not profitable, then no matter how many units you sell, the business will never be successful. And entrepreneurs use profit to pay themselves, expand the business, and start or invest in new businesses. And the entrepreneur chooses how the unit is defined. So it can be defined on manufacturing terms, which would be one order, Wholesale terms, which would be a dozen of an item or 1,000. Retail would be 1 unit, 1 item. And service would be 1 hour of service time. And if the business sells differently priced items, such as a restaurant, you would use the average sale per customer as the unit, and the average would be the total sales divided by the number of customers. There's also the, besides the average unit of sale, there's also the average gross profit per customer, and that's the average sales per customer minus the average cost of sale per customer. And to get a closer look at the cost involved in figuring 1 unit, entrepreneurs analyze the cost of goods sold of a unit. And the cost of goods sold of a unit is the cost of materials used to make the product or deliver the service, and the cost of labor used to make the product or deliver the service. And once you know your cost of goods sold, you can calculate your gross profit. And you just subtract the total cost of goods sold from your total revenue to get your gross profit. So it's revenue minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit. So here's an example. So it shows the selling price for a pair, we're looking at a pair of sneakers. And so we start out with the labor cost per hour of $4. It takes 2 hours. So the total labor cost is going to be 8. So it takes 2 hours, so it's $8. And then we add in the material. So we had the labor cost and the material cost, which comes to $12. And that's our cost of goods sold. And then the selling price was $15. So once we take 15 minus the 12, we get our gross profit per unit, which was $3. And then if we want to figure our gross profit per unit, we take the selling price per unit minus the cost of goods sold per unit. So we take $35 minus $20, and that gives us the $15. And this concludes chapter 3, and here's all of your key terms that you'll want to know for your quiz.